Robbie, it's been a pretty interesting last couple of months for yourself. I mean, throughout the whole period with what happened with Pegasus and so forth, would that be most trying thing that you've probably dealt with off the bike in cycling?
Oh, mate, the last couple of months has been more up and down than the proverbial, you know. And it's been a stressful time and really disappointing to see that the Pegasus project go the way it did. You know, I've also had a big role in helping to set things up and organising staff and some riders, and I was really looking forward to being part of an Aussie team, and that it went downhill as far as it did when it did. I realised that I had to start looking for something else, but 3 days out from Christmas and a matter of 9 days away from starting the actual cycling season, find a contract in a decent team, and that's a big ask for anybody, no matter what you've done. But I suppose I got in one way a little bit lucky, but I could rely on my reputation, my contacts, and I keep in touch with Lance, and I sent him a message, said, mate, things have gone pear-shaped here, and I'm actually looking for a team. What do you reckon? And he said, hang tough, leave it with me, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. And 10 minutes later, he sent me a message, said, let's do it. So, now I'm riding for Radio Shack in 2011.
I suppose from the outside, like the general public, everyone was excited for this whole thought of having an Aussie team at the Tour de France and so forth. But the one thing that most people couldn't understand is how it did actually go pear-shaped with that. They've signed all these riders, but then the sponsor was able to just go, nah, don't want a part of it. Was that sort of one thing that left people scratching their heads a bit?
Yeah, I mean, all the details are yet to come to light, I think. And, as far as I know, the people who are going to be putting the money in, they were the majority stakeholder in the company that controlled the team. So basically that lets them have a contract with themselves. And, so I guess that's as good as having no contract. And they decided it's all over. We're pulling the plug because, their whole fortune was going down the drain and they were losing everything. And, our cycling team was one of the many victims of that.
I suppose the big sad part of it is for some of the other guys as part of the whole Pegasus unit, like guys like Luke Roberts. I mean, where does the future lie with a lot of the guys that aren't fortunate enough to have the contacts to get a team at the last minute?
Yeah, that's the really sad thing. I mean, we had such a great group of riders and staff, and everything really clicked, and that the atmosphere was fantastic. Everyone was really looking forward to it. And now there's so many people left without a job, and there's a lot of riders that may not get a ride at all in 2011. They're at the moment still scratching around trying to find something, hoping against hope, I suppose, that Chris White can get a third division continental licence for the team to at least keep guys in a job, and if not, they'll we also hope keep the Fly V Australia team going and at least have 16 riders under contract and with a ride and with a job. But it's just so disappointing for everybody, and something I really didn't want to walk away from it. But get to a point where they're hoping for a third division licence, but at the moment there's still nothing. I couldn't hang around and wait any longer, and I had to go and find myself a ride. But I really hope the other guys can come up with something, or that Chris White can come up with something for them.
Now, looking forward for yourself, now that you are with Radio Shack, it is a pretty exciting, team to be a part of, given with Lance's history and so forth. What are your goals now moving forward? I know everyone's talking it's going to be your last year and things like that, but do you still find there's some unfinished business you've got to prove out on the road?
Yeah, it may well be my last year on the road in Europe, but I'm not going to treat it like that. I'm going to go to each race with 100% motivation and try and win wherever I can. And the first one I'm trying to get ready for is the Tour Down Under. I feel here in the Bay Series I've been getting better every day, but I'm still just a step behind the other blokes who are winning this series and winning the races. But I'm starting to come good. I want to have another good crack at Milan San Remo, and then obviously I'd really like to ride the Tour de France again. I was prepared for it really well in 2010. I was flying when I got there, and then I flew through the air and crashed twice, and that ruined the whole thing. So I'd like to have one more crack at it, and then I guess the unfinished business for me is another go at a World Championship title, and that's in Copenhagen in September on a course that suits sprinters. So I've got to be a part of the team there and have another go.
Well, on the World Championships, I know we don't like going over old news and so forth, but that would have been something that sort of left a bit of a sting in the gut, knowing that, you know, it did turn out to be a bunch sprint and you did have pretty good form. You know, if things were different, do you think you would have put up a pretty big show in the race in July?
Oh, mate, that's in the past. It's history now, so it doesn't do any good to go back and rehash it and think about what if. So, you know, moving on and on to this year and what lies ahead. And there's, you know, again, I'm back in the Pro Tour, the biggest races, and you know, if I can have a good season over in Europe and get a few wins, then that'll, I suppose, erase that memory. And you know, I guess the dream scenario would be to win one more stage in the Tour de France, and then, you know, if not for myself at the World Championships, then possibly another Aussie teammate, who knows, like Matt Goss.